What is going on, everybody? Tyler Brandt back here with another video. Another Sunday is upon us, week 2 of NFL football. And today we're talking Patriots versus Jets preview. Sorry, it was a week since I last talked to you, but it's been a slow week in Patriots Nation. It really hasn't been too crazy between games. But today, we're all here together. Let's talk a little bit of Patriots and Jets. Both teams coming in 0-1 into this game. Both teams need a win. This is a rivalry, a very storied rivalry over the last couple years. One that's been dominated by the Patriots. Of course, Tom Brady has dominated this team, but he's gone. This is a new era for both teams. Two rookie quarterbacks, both making their second starts. Two teams that are led by better defenses than the offenses, at least right now. But one offense in the Patriots is a little bit better. At least it looks like it's a little bit better than the Patriots. But both offenses are definitely a work in progress. Both defenses are work in progress. Both taking stock in what they have. And this is a big game, again, for both teams. So without any further ado, let's break it down. Let's jump into it. Now, the Jets, of course, are coached by Robert Saleh in his rookie season as a coach, in his second game as a head coach of the Jets. And what we saw last week against the Carolina Panthers, at least from what I've gathered, I didn't get to watch the whole game. Obviously, like last year and like a couple years prior, the Jets are very, very good up front. Quinnen Williams is a star. He leads the front of that defense, and they are a good run defense team. They have been in the last couple years. They are very good against the run. It's the back end of that defense that is and has been a little rough, especially with Jamal Adams long gone. Marcus May is the big guy in that secondary right now. But they do play a ton of zone, especially last week they played a ton of zone. I don't know. I would assume it's because they don't have the personnel to play man. But I would expect Bill Belichick to be able to move the ball fairly easily, at least on paper, doing what he wants to do against that zone defense if the offensive line can play up to their expectations. A player I would really like to see more of, and I expect to see more of this week, is James White. We saw a ton of Damian Harris last week, and he was great outside of the fumble, of course. But I expect to see James White in kind of a Christian McCaffrey role. Not necessarily as good as McCaffrey, obviously, but I do think he'll be able to find holes in the weak side of the zone. I think that Bill Belichick will be able to get him on linebackers and get him some really big plus matchups to make some easy throws for Mac Jones. So I do expect to see a healthy dose of James White, especially when the Jets are deploying their zone coverages this week. I would also expect the Patriots to try to use speed to kind of make some of these young Jets defensive backs uncomfortable. Last week, we saw Robbie Anderson go for a very long touchdown, got a defender kind of flat-footed on his back, on the back of his feet, and he really had to make a play and try to make an adjustment. He couldn't. Robbie Anderson scored a very big touchdown. So I would expect a guy like Nelson Agholor to use his speed to open up things underneath and to make defensive backs uncomfortable. Also, I do think the use of the 12 personnel with Jonnu and Hunter Henry will be very interesting too. The Jets are weak at linebacker and in the secondary, so I do think they're going to have a lot of work to do covering both the tight ends, covering James White if you can get him in the formation in that heavy set, and then using Nelson Agholor's speed to open things up down low. And we even saw last week they do have a good connection, Nelson Agholor and Mac Jones, so I would expect him also to be a very big part of the game plan, using his speed to try to open up things and to try to get open down the field. Also, one final note on the offensive side of the ball. Trent Brown is a late scratch. He was scratched Saturday, so he's not going to be in. Yodny Kajust is going to be in, so I would expect to see him on the right side of the line. I don't think it'll affect the game plan too much. The rest of that offensive line is still very, very good. But Trent Brown, a late scratch Saturday, is also something to note going into this game. On the defensive side of the ball, Belichick is 21-7 versus rookie QBs. That's a stat that is always going to factor into every game Bill Belichick plays against a young man at quarterback. And while Zach Wilson did look good, he looked good, especially in the second half of that Carolina game, the first half was rough. They didn't score a lot in the first half. They didn't move the ball a lot in the first half. So it kind of took that whole offense a little while to get their feet under them. But he did have a couple really, really nice throws in the second half. And there is no doubt about the fact that he's got an absolute arm. He really, really does. Something I did notice about the Patriots last week, that defense, when it is a passing down and they know it's a passing down, they're absolutely ferocious. So no Mekhi Becton for the Jets. He's going to be out for the next 8 weeks or so. That's going to hurt an already weak offensive line. So I would expect Belichick to throw a lot of complex blitz packages at Zach Wilson, make him really have to decipher what he's seeing, get him into third and longs, and then it's that all-out pass rush that was very, very, very dirty last week against the Miami Dolphins. I do like the Jets receiving core. I think they are very underrated. However, I don't think any of them are real matchup nightmares against anybody in New England. I think the secondary is going to have a lot of plus matchups, at least right away. I'm always watching J.C. Jackson because he's the guy that's got to step up with Gilmore out. As we could tell last week, the Patriots need Gilmore. They are a better team. The secondary is significantly better with Gilmore back there. But J.C. Jackson is very good. He is still a very good defensive back. So with those plus matchups, I do expect the Patriots, again, to blitz a lot, to have a lot of complex blitz packages, and really make Zach Wilson uncomfortable. The one thing I noticed a lot of people saying last week is that Zach Wilson seems to hold the ball a lot. And he seems to try to look for the home run more often than he does the check down and the first down to just keep a drive going. That's been one of the biggest things through preseason, through the first week of the NFL that I've noticed a lot of people say. So I do think that Belichick being able to make him hold on to the ball, whether it is making him hold on to the ball with complex zone reads or with, just dropping guys back in a zone and letting the Patriots only have to rush 4 to get there, I think it'll be a very interesting kind of dynamic to watch this defense work against Zach Wilson. The running game for the Jets, it's kind of non-existent at the moment. They don't have a guy really that they kind of swap a platoon. I know Ty Johnson's in there, Michael Carter's in there. So I think the Patriots should be able to straight up stop the run. I don't think there's going to be any real extra effort needed, especially with the depleted offensive line. So the real defensive battle this week is going to be Zach Wilson against that secondary and against that pass rush. And that's what I think Belichick is going to feast on. And I think for him, it seems to be very straightforward of a game plan. Now, I do think that this game is going to play close. Neither offense is great, although the Patriots offense looked very good last week, and they didn't really turn the ball over until the end, and even though the fumbles were an issue, I think this game, a division game on the road, it plays close. The spread is 6-6. I've seen 5.5. I've seen 6. New England is as big as a 6-point favorite. I don't think they cover that spread. I have the final score, and the winner this week, the New England Patriots 24 and the New York Jets 20. The Patriots get their first win of the season. Mac Jones gets the first win of his career. And the Jets fall to 0-2. These teams, again, while they're in the same boat in a few different ways, the Patriots are, at least in this moment in time, better coach. There's a lot better personnel, especially on the defensive side of the ball and on the back end. And I just think that they're a little bit better team than the New York Jets and what they showed last week. If the Jets have a first half like they did against the Panthers last week, even if the Patriots can't move the ball as good as they did last week against Miami, which I don't think is going to be the case, if the Jets have that awful offensive first half, I do think the Patriots will be able to get out into a comfortable lead. And even if the Jets make a run late, I just don't think they have enough to come all the way back against New England. So, once again, final score, the New England Patriots 24, the New York Jets 20. Let me know what you think of the game today. Drop your final score predictions in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Tyler Brandt. I'll be live tweeting the game all day, so if you're on Twitter, drop a like on Twitter, drop a like on the video, leave a comment, share all the stuff. Follow me on Twitter at the Tyler Brandt, on Instagram at Talking Pats, and we'll be able to talk Patriots football all day long. Let's go Patriots. Let's get to 1-1. I'm Tyler Brandt, and I'll talk to you next time.